you say that, but the lights in the sky have nothing to do with the flat Earth.
Okay, so this was my first talking point. Were we going to do the talking points that we prepared? Because my first talking point is about this, and it is an absolute annihilation of flat Earth. That's why you don't want to talk about it. That's why you say, why do we look at the things in the sky to figure out the shape of the Earth? Because that's how we figured it out 2,000 years ago, by looking at the stars.
So this is a circular reasoning logical fallacy rolled into a reification logical fallacy, rolled into an appeal to authority logical fallacy, claiming that these other people, they're the authorities, they figured it out, therefore it should be true. I mean, Professor, I gotta hand it to him. It's impressive how many back-to-back, I mean, he's got nothing but logical fallacies. And the rapid succession fire of it, just fallacy stacked on top of each other. It's impressive. I don't think I've ever seen anybody argue this fallaciously as Professor Dave did here. So we got to give him credit here. I mean, this might be the most logically fallacious so-called argument ever even mounted in any kind of debate.
Can I show my slide that shows this? Go for it. Okay, here we go. Observation of the stars. Next one. Can you? You're controlling it, right? Do I just tell you when to go? Okay, so if you're in the northern hemisphere looking at the North Pole, then hang on, all this stuff is covering. I can't even see the text. I think I remember what it says. Anyway, if you're looking at the North Pole in the northern hemisphere, the stars rotate counterclockwise. Go to the next one. If you were in the southern hemisphere looking at the South Pole, the stars rotate clockwise. Next one.
This is an excellent example, again, of a false cause logical fallacy, as if there's only a single explanation and it has to be this. I mean, false dichotomy, false cause. I mean, and in a way, you could also claim it is a reductive logical fallacy. As in oversimplification, like this is that simple that this is the only way this could happen and there will never be any other variables. For example, another parallel here is the alleged Coriolis effect. Which way does the water in a toilet bowl go down? Obviously, it depends on the design of the toilet bowl. You could have two different bowl designs and one will go counterclockwise, one will go counterclockwise in your same house, regardless of where on earth you are. So, I mean, this logical fallacy stack, I mean, it is kind of impressive. I can't lie. I am impressed by Professor Dave's cluelessness and his ability to stack so many logical fallacies inside single arguments. I mean, it's impressive. It's impressive.
How does this make sense on a flat Earth? Sorry, this is a screenshot from one of my videos. So in the video, they're rotating in different directions. Why would two people on a flat pizza land look at the sky and see a sky that is rotating in different ways? Next one.
Okay, so this is actually an interesting point. I don't think I've addressed this in previous podcasts. So this is what a lot of so-called heliocentric globe earthers believe is a smoking gun on the rotation, the appearance of clockwise versus counterclockwise rotation, depending on whether you're in the northern or southern hemisphere. Now, just to lay the groundwork for this concept, I don't know, a lot of people have done this, but just the way perspective works regarding things that are spinning around a singular point. So if you're in an office chair with wheels, point at, go underneath your, go straight underneath your light bulb in your room. Now look up at the light bulb while you're spinning to the right. So spin clockwise in your office chair and point to the light bulb above you and observe whether you're going clockwise or counterclockwise around your finger pointing at the light bulb. Then look down, point a spot at the floor. You could, if you want to make it easier, you could put an object or whatever, a bottle cap, a small piece of whatever, a quarter on the floor right underneath and between your feet. Point at it while you're spinning in your chair, and you're still spinning to the right clockwise, and see which way it looks, and then compare. So you're spinning in the same direction, but whether you're looking up or down, it appears to be rotating a different direction, one of those two, correct? So it's, again, he's claiming, he's falling for all these logical fallacies, like the reductive fallacy of oversimplification, as if it can only happen one way. So the other thing to note, if for people with more time on their hands, you can go into the program Stellarium and observe this effect of the appearance of rotation. So if, again, I'm not claiming this is true, but if we are in a type of planetarium, regardless of the shape of the Earth, the way the stars rotate above, depending on the distances, the axes, the speed of rotation, things would appear to rotate a certain way versus another way, and you can position yourself different spots of the Earth to observe the appearance of the sky. Anyone interested in the way that this could theoretically work. Now, a point against the heliocentric globe model is there wouldn't be star trails around the North Pole. Why would the star trails be perfect circles rotating around the North Pole if the Earth is flying through space and our Milky Way galaxy is flying through space and then all the other galaxies are magically flying in all these different directions? Again, I'm not saying that's not happening, but you would need a better explanation than billions of years light takes to travel. I mean, that kind of magical explanation, billions of years. I mean, that's kind of used for evolution as well. That's not proof. Saying something, again, the burden of proof is not met there. Saying something's going to take forever, therefore the theory is true. I mean, that's obviously silly nonsense. The theory might be true, but you can't prove it by saying, magically millions of years. I mean, that kind of silly nonsense, that's not scientific. You have to observe and measure, not hallucinate and default to blind faith. Let's continue here now. This is probably his dumbest argument yet.
And furthermore, why can't we all see the same stars? There are stars that you can only see in the towards the northern hemisphere, and stars you can only see in the southern hemisphere. Next one.
All right, so that leads me to believe, is it possible that Professor Dave is just this dumb he hasn't looked at a single flat Earth argument? This is such a common one. If you're in a giant warehouse and you put up a certain light bulbs and then you go hundreds of miles and put different color light bulbs in different positions, obviously you wouldn't see the light bulb. This is the goofery of some of these clueless heliocentric globe debaters. They're trying to plug in the parameters of distance and everything into the flat Earth model, but the flat Earth model does not include those parameters. So that's a straw man logical fallacy as well, and also a non sequitur, because this is just nonsense. In the flat Earth model, true or untrue, you wouldn't see the same stars from everywhere in the Earth if the stars are relatively close. Again, it's just like the warehouse example. And some people also bring up the angle of the moon. Like if you tape a picture of a smiley face to your ceiling, walk from one end of your living room to the other end of the living room, the smiley face will be upside down. That doesn't mean you're on a globe. These are very simple children's level experiments you can do to clearly show how goofy Professor Dave's arguments are here. This is children's level stuff that he doesn't understand. Now, again, is he just mentally disabled, or does he get a kick out of embarrassing himself this severely?
On a globe, this makes perfect sense. If you're in the northern hemisphere looking at the North Pole, east is to your right. If you are in the southern hemisphere looking at the South Pole, east is to your left. Next one.
Again, reductive logical fallacy, false dichotomy logical fallacy, straw man logical fallacy, trying to plug in these things to the flat Earth model that they do not claim.
And the reason we can't see certain stars is because you can't see through the Earth. Next one.
Ditto for everything I just said before.
That's why in the northern hemisphere we can't see the Southern Cross. That's why in the southern hemisphere we can't see Polaris. Next one.
Which would work exactly the same way on a flat plane. It's hard to believe he's this dumb. He's got to be playing stupid, right?
Almost done. Quick one here. So it actually gets a lot worse than that in the southern hemisphere, because you've taken a globe and you've unwrapped it. The southern hemisphere makes absolutely no sense. People in the southern hemisphere who are all looking at the Southern Cross are somehow supposed to be, we're believing that they're all looking in completely different directions and seeing the same object often at the same time. Next one.
Well, he's also presupposing those distances are what they are. Again, that's where there could be some issues with Stellarium, because again, burden of proof. I don't know if the flat earthers are claiming the distances between the continents are the same. I mean, I don't know what they're claiming here, but Professor Dave is straw manning because look at his whole diagram is a straw man in terms of distances.
It might be that because Ash is doing this. Oh, has he done it? Has it worked?
Yeah, that's it. I think this is the last one. So again, on a globe, south actually means something. People who are looking south are all looking at the South Pole. They're all looking in the same direction. So that's why they all see the same thing, such as an object like the Southern Cross.
All right, can you go
I
back
think
to
that's the last one.
So again, if Professor Dave was interested in good faith logical debate, he would at least examine the argument for the Southern Cross and the theory that if this is some kind of a projection planetarium, what would the actual rotation of the Southern Cross be? Like, what are the axes and distances? Because if you don't have that information, you can't just hallucinate and pretend it's only this point over this point and try to plug in the variables of the heliocentric globe theory, plug it into the flat earth theory and use that to disprove the flat earth theory. That's the ultimate straw man. And again, the reductive logical fallacy, because he's assuming that there's no other way that you would see that except on a globe model. I mean, again, this kind of silliness is just getting really painful.
Let me go through the slides.
Check if it's the next one.
Yeah.
Check if it's the last one.
And if you can go back to the first one, that would be great. So in your world, we have people standing upside down, and you're assuming hemispheres on a sphere.
What do you mean upside down? What do you mean upside down? What does that mean?
Compare their feet are antipodal to my feet, people in the South.
Okay, so yours are upside down compared to them. What's the difference? What's down on a globe?
I'm not saying. I'm just saying.
Yeah, he's not saying there's a difference. So I don't know what would this be classified as. This would kind of be a red herring logical fallacy because he's kind of trying to frame it as if Flat Earth Dave is saying that they're wrong or upside down. Obviously, if the globe theory is true, then in the north it would be opposite. So the other people would be upside down. Obviously, this is all obvious, and yet Professor Dave wants to red herring it for whatever reason. I mean, again, just trying to embarrass himself as much as possible. Or the other thing I kind of noticed, he doesn't want to let Flat Earth Dave speak, so he always wants to interject as often as possible. So Flat Earth Dave can't actually expand upon his points in any way. So obviously this is not a good faith debate in any way, but it does help Professor Dave set the world record for most logical fallacies in the least amount of time.
People are upside down to each other halfway across the world. So if we can go back to the original slide so I can remember all the points he made so I can address them, that would be fantastic.
So, yeah, I mean, I don't know what Flat Earth Dave is saying there. People are upside down. I mean, I never thought I'd say this. I'm going to have to agree with Professor Dave here. So, on a heliocentric globe, they would be upside down. And so what? I mean, I don't know what Flat Earth Dave's trying to do here. He's trying to clarify a point. I mean, he's not actually making a claim. He's trying to clarify the globe Earth model, so it's technically not a fallacy. But my next question as well is, where are you going with that?
I think the issue is that Ash, the producer, is having some issues with his internet and isn't able to do it. Sorry about this, guys. We're usually quite good with the tech and everything.
So,
yeah,
I'll try to.
I can tell you the points again.
I'd rather just see the points rather than hear you say them again.
Okay.
I don't know. He can't change it back.
I don't think so. He's in the Philippines or something mad like that. So he's having some difficulties with it. And I think Sean is as well. Good thing I'm here, saving the day.
Okay, look, it was that in the northern hemisphere, the celestial sphere rotates counterclockwise. In the southern hemisphere, rotates clockwise.
Let me respond.
And we can't see certain stars.
You don't have to do the whole presentation. You can just remind me.
That was it. Go ahead.
So no matter where you are in the world, all of the stars, all the lights in the sky from things that we call planets, wandering stars, sun and moon, they all rise in the east, set in the west. Mm-hmm. If I'm standing on a flat Earth looking out to the south, the stars are coming from my left. If I'm standing in the north, looking at the north, the stars are coming from my right. That explains the opposite direction.
No, you just explained the globe model. You didn't explain anything.
You don't understand.
On the flat Earth, how do people see the sky rotating in different directions?
Because you're facing in different directions, David.
I mean, he really should have brought up the example, like even just spinning in your chair. looking down versus up, it appears that that there's a rotation one way versus the other way. Now, to be fair, Flat Earth Dave does not explain this very well. But on the other hand, Professor Dave should know the basics of perspective, which he either does not, either he has some kind of mental disability, can't grasp the children's level of basics, or he's playing stupid and intentionally trying to appear as stupid as possible. I don't know which, of course.
If all the stars, I will explain. If I'm
wait, hang on. Speaking of facing in different directions, Flat Earth Dave, because we've changed the angles a bit, you're a bit off the screen. That's it. You look
I
good
got
now.
it. It would be better if you can make me widescreen so I can show what I'm showing. But
okay, well there you go. And I'll just say, Sean's just saying that his thing is freezing, so I guess he'll be back when he can. But for now, you keep going.
So on a flat Earth, if we have our flat Earth, north is to the center, south is every direction away from the center. So if the stars are going this way from my right shoulder to left shoulder, I'm looking at the North Star, they're going one way. When I turn around and I look at the south away from the center, they're coming from my left shoulder to my right shoulder. They just change directions. Okay, there's no argument there. There's nothing to argue. That works.
Okay, now do clockwise and counterclockwise.
Well,
because that's really what we're talking about. What do you mean it doesn't matter?
Again,
you're talking about a direction. I'm talking about clockwise versus counterclockwise when you're looking at the poles.
Dave, the optics of the sky.
Well, so so now he's presupposing that there are poles. See, again, he's trying to plug in the variables of the heliocentric globe, which Flat Earth Dave does not believe in. He does not believe there's a South Pole. So again, this utter failure of Professor Dave to understand even basic rudimentary flat Earth theory, and yet he's debating on it. I mean, this level of cluelessness, I mean, it really is something else. It's just something else. Again, he's just stacking all these fallacies.
Yeah. Well, you say the poles. So getting back to your point where you have somebody in Santiago, somebody in Johannesburg, and somebody in Australia, when they see the Southern Cross, well, they don't see it at the same time. They see it 12 hours apart from Santiago.
They don't see it at the same time? So people looking south can't see the night sky at the same time?
David, if you understand what the flat Earth model is, if somebody's in Santiago...
You don't have a model.
Well, he clearly has a model. It might not be true. So this level of strawmanning, non sequiturs, ad hom attacks, I mean, it's just the stacks are just so crazy. I'm going to let this play for a little bit more because this is going to take forever if I keep calling out each one. So I'm just going to put it on the counter. I think everybody's kind of got an idea of all the different fallacies, and they'll be able to see who commits what.
Listen.
Yeah.
Stop being a dick. Okay.
You stop being a dick. Your entire existence is being a dick to all of science. So stop telling me to stop being a dick.
Keep going. So if somebody's in Santiago and it's midnight, they're looking at the Southern Cross. Well, somebody in Australia that's looking south, they're looking at the noon sun. You tell me how they
noon
can see
sun?
The
How many time zones apart are they? Are they 12 time zones apart?
Well, at noon, close to noon, right?
Okay, no, first of all, not close to noon, but it doesn't matter. How about you go 4 hours apart? Why don't you go 4 time zones apart? They should still be looking in completely different directions. 12 midnight, 4 a.m., night sky, both looking south, both can see the Southern Cross. On your pizza world should be looking in completely different directions. Explain that.
Dave, when the only time that can happen is in Johannesburg and Santiago, and if you add magnetic declination in there, they're both looking in the same direction.
Magnetic declination?
Yeah.
So you think just saying the word magnet is going to be an argument here that's going to work for you?
So that's funny because whenever the flat earthers call this out for the heliocentric globers always say, oh, because of gravity. And now Professor Dave is saying, oh, well, you can't just say magnetic declination. That doesn't prove anything, as if it's true the same way the goof mentions gravity. But let's get a little bit into magnetic declination. So this is right from NOAA, National Center for Environmental Information. Magnetic declination, sometimes called magnetic variation, is the angle between magnetic north and true north. Declination is positive east of true north and negative when west. Magnetic declination changes over time and with location. As the compass points with local magnetic fields, declination value is needed to obtain true north. So, depending, again, there's a lot of different theories at play. If electromagnetism is the primary force that we're dealing with, and if there is some kind of a projection system on the dome, if there is a dome, if the flat earth model is true, then without knowing the exact variables of this projection and how it would be affected by magnetic declination as well as electromagnetism and all these other things, to obtain the true path, because Professor Dave is, of course, trying to plug in the distances and variables in the heliocentric globe model of all the constellations and all that into Dave's flat earth model, which does not include those pieces. So his straw man, I mean, he's definitely the king of straw manning, because he's pretending all of these variables would fit. And now notice how he interrupted flat earth. He didn't even let him explain how magnetic, because when Professor Dave speaks, he just says the terms and then never backs them up. Flat Earth Dave, I don't know if he's going to back it up or not. He's in the middle of making his point, and Professor Dave can only interrupt like a clueless goof. I mean, I guess, is he that triggered, or is he just that much of a troll playing this level of stupid because he gets a kick out of embarrassing himself?
Look up the magnetic declinations of those areas. You don't know what direction you're facing, right? There's certain areas of Antarctica that the magnetic declination is 170 degrees. So when your compass says north is that way, it's 170 degrees the other way, according to NOAA or whoever's in charge of that, right?
Look, you can dress it up however you want. We're talking about looking this way and looking that way, and they see the same thing.
Well, again, so now we're into burden of proof logical fallacy, because, well, also red herring, because he's claiming you would know which way you were looking. So which model are you on? Because you would have to prove, like, the burden of proof, he's saying Professor Dave's making the claim that they're looking this way or that way. They would have to, relative to what? Because on the flat earth model, obviously, that's not the same as the heliocentric globe model. Again, these are children's level basics, but Professor Dave just can't grasp it.
And you're fixating on Santiago and Johannesburg because you think that they're far enough apart that they're not going to both be nighttime. I'm telling you, you can go any distance apart. Just go from Perth to Sydney.
What do you mean any distance? How are those distances verified? Because if the flat earthers are claiming that those distances on the globe between those areas are not the actual distances, then how would any of this be proven? Again, a fundamental lack of understanding of the burden of proof logical fallacy.
Right? That's far enough apart that if you're both looking directly south, you're looking in different directions.
And he's also kind of stacking on the circular reasoning logical fallacy to that as well.
And you can see the same thing. You cannot explain that. That's why you're trying to throw out jargon to confuse people.
Oh, that's another straw man. He clearly defined it. And so if Professor Dave doesn't know what magnetic declination is and how it would affect the appearance of the constellations in the sky relative to position, he should not be discussing the subject, of course.
I'm not trying to throw out jargon to confuse people, David.
That's exactly what you're doing.
Another straw man and ad hom.
When you're looking towards the same area. You're looking towards the same area. And,
but on your pizza world, south is a different direction for every longitude line. Do you not understand that? On your pizza land, right, you have all these longitude lines. Directly south is towards your magic ice wall. Everybody looking south is looking in a different direction.
Magic ice wall.
Yeah. So stop trying to skip to something else, right? Are you denying that longitude lines, everybody on your pizza world is all looking in a completely different direction when they look south?
And NASA or NOAA, they tell us, what longitude lines are you talking about? They tell us that the magnetic declination is a different direction. So,
I mean, it's weird. I mean, can Professor Dave be this dumb that he doesn't understand that the flat Earth model does not include those same lines at those same distances? Now, to be fair, I don't know if Flat Earth Dave or any other flat earther is giving a positive claim onto what those distances actually are. I mean, you would need to do that in order to support the claim that the Earth is flat, but that doesn't change just the logical fallacy records here of Professor Dave.
Do they, or are you just randomly grasping at words to try to make sense of something that is absolutely unexplainable for you?
Solid psychological projection there by Professor Dave again. his fundamental lack of being able to grasp even the basics of flat Earth theory.
David, it's not true. And the optics in the sky, again, do not prove the shape of the Earth. You say that
well,
they
I
do.
just did prove it with that.
How? He just... How is a reductive logical fallacy is not proof of anything?
So I don't know what to tell you.
Let's move on.
So is that his way of saying he doesn't know how to debate without using logical fallacies? I mean, that is true. I mean, all we've seen is logical fallacy.
So I'm sorry, guys.
Do you want to move on
my entire
from
system
this thing?
crashed.
I want to move on from looking at the lights in the sky to figure out. Yeah, we hear you.
Because I proved the Earth is a sphere by using that.
How so? Circular reasoning, logical fallacy.
Is that why you want to move on?
No, not at all.
Well,
we hear you. We don't care.
It is.
What talking point?
We hear you, but we don't care.
What talking point are we on right now?
I just finished proving the Earth is a sphere by looking at stars, something that we've been doing for thousands of years.
Okay, so what is that? Appeal to popularity, appeal to authority, reification fallacy, circular reasoning logical fallacy, and reductive logical fallacy. Man, Professor Dave is really good at just rattling off fallacies and hallucinating they somehow prove something.
Yeah, so says you. Go ahead.
Yeah, and everybody who's ever lived.
Appeal to extremes and appeal to authority and appeal to popularity all rolled into one.
So NASA isn't gonna really help you with that one. Sorry, buddy. They started in the 1950s.
Another straw man because Flat Earth Dave never claimed it was only NASA or whatever.